Welcome back to New Rockstars, I'm Erik Voss, and Marvel's latest Eternals trailer began to give us some answers about the big picture of the MCU and how we've apparently been praying to the wrong people.
Show me what you got!
Heavenly heads and cranial creator, forgive my transgressions against family and community. May my chores complete me as I complete them.
But it is these Celestials and Eternals link to Thanos that has us most curious. The Mad Titan was brought up twice in the trailer, first by Ajak when talking about him snapping away half of all life.
5 years ago, Thanos erased half of the population of the universe.
And then later in a chat between Dane Whitman and Cersei.
Why didn't you guys help fight Thanos? Or any war, all the other terrible things throughout history?
We were instructed not to interfere in any human conflicts unless deviants are involved.
Yeah, bullshit, you may be thinking impolitely. Because Thanos, while born to eternal parents, carried a deviant gene, the source of his scarred purple skin. Shouldn't that have qualified him as deviant enough for the Eternals to intervene? Well, the answer isn't entirely clear, because when you go back and look at how the MCU has defined Thanos' backstory and lineage, the studio has been very careful with what clues exactly they've offered so far as to Thanos' exact bloodline. I suspect that not only will this film answer that question, but that answer could provide the basis for how things like the mutant gene could be established in this universe. Thanos' parents were Eternals Alars, aka Mentor, and Suisan, living on Titan. Now in the comics, Titan is the moon of Saturn, Titan, but in the films, Titan is a planet outside of our solar system. And we know the movies intend to keep Thanos' lineage intact because when Red Skull greeted Thanos on Vormir, he mentioned his father's name as a way to prove his divine insight.
Thanos, son of Alas.
Now, Alars moved to Titan from Earth after a dispute with his brother, the Eternal Zurus, who is the father of Thena, making Thena and Thanos first cousins, and if you're a president with a school in Loki named after you, not a deal breaker. But while Thanos' Eternals bloodline has been confirmed for the films, his deviance has not yet been explicitly mentioned. The closest evidence we've gotten was Thanos' explanation to Doctor Strange in Infinity War.
Titan was like most planets. Too many mouths, not enough to go around. And when we faced extinction, I offered a solution.
Genocide.
But random, dispassionate, fair to rich and poor alike. They called me a madman.
Yeah, there, Thanos' reality stone conjured projection of Titan's past shows what looks like a peaceful society of Titans, though from what I can determine, none of them appear to be purple, scarred, and jacked. The implication seems like the Titan skepticism of Thanos might have had some racial bias to it. Now in the comics, that prejudice led Thanos' own mother, Suisan, to attempt to murder him at birth, considering him a deviant who would go on to destroy civilization. But really in that moment, deviant is thrown as a kind of slur describing Thanos' phenotype. Thanos has long been considered an eternal hyphen deviant, or an eternal with a deviant gene, sometimes called an eternal deviant hybrid, though he's not half and half. Actually, if we're gonna be specific, he's really a pureborn eternal with a deviant genetic mutation, a dormant gene buried in his DNA that he got from his ancestors that was only now activated the moment of his conception. And if that science is how this Eternals film describes Thanos' genetic history, we're in for a very different conversation in this film when it comes to subjects like mutants in the MCU. But this video is brought to you by The Ridge. The Ridge wallet is light, sleek, and industrial. It's designed to fit in your front pocket, unlike those bulky monstrosities that make us sit crooked when they're in our back pockets. The Ridge comes in over 30 styles and colors, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. It holds up to 12 cards and still has room for cash, so you can show off your fancy Euro collection to cashiers and other people who probably don't care. Every Ridge wallet comes with a lifetime guarantee, and they'll let you test drive it for 45 days and send it back for a full refund if you don't love it. They also have great backpacks, phone cases, and other cool gear. They're running a special promotion where every dollar spent on the site before September 18th, you're entered to win a 2020 Jeep Gladiator, or 50,000 bucks if you already own a cool convertible Jeep, or if you just prefer cash. So get 10% off today with free worldwide shipping and returns by going to ridge.com/newrockstars. That's ridge.com patreon.com/newrockstars and use code NEWROCKSTARS. Find the link in the video's description. The Eternals comics established that the Celestials created 3 groups of intelligent life on Earth: the Eternals, the humans, and the Deviants. But within humankind, they encoded a latent gene that would not activate for untold millennia, implied to be the mutant gene, or X gene. As mutants began to emerge among the population as far back as Insabar-Nur of ancient Egypt, aka the mutant apocalypse, mankind didn't really realize this was happening. They didn't yet have a word for them until the modern era. Mutants are really considered a random genetic variation to humans, but still part of that same species. So too may have been the case with Thanos, born an Eternal, considered an Eternal, just merely possessing a deviant mutation. But still, from the perspective of the Celestials, and from Thanos' cousin Thena, maybe an Eternal same as the rest of them, creating among the Eternals a kind of confusion whether or not to act. It's even possible that Thanos' warpath was Celestial inspired and ordered. The writers of Infinity War talked about structuring Thanos' journey as a spiritual quest, giving him dogmatic dialogue and a final shot with biblical undertones. And we know there is some historical link between the Celestials and the Infinity Stones. One of the first Celestials we saw in the MCU was Isan the Searcher in the Collector's Story, who once possessed the Power Stone. And the Nebula in Endgame described Vormir, the resting place of the Soul Stone, as a dominion of death at the very center of celestial existence. And there is some untold story of how Thanos acquired his first Infinity Stone, the Mind Stone, because Loki was given the scepter by Thanos' minion, the Other, in order to conquer Earth and acquire the Tesseract, the Space Stone. But that scepter was later revealed to contain the Mind Stone, meaning Thanos must have somehow gotten that stone first, and perhaps it was a gift from the gods. Because it just seems like the Celestials wanted Thanos to carry out that cosmic genocide based on Ajax's words in the Eternals trailer.
But the people of this planet brought everyone back with a snap of a finger. The sudden return of the population provided the necessary energy for the emergence to begin.
Now, I've talked about how that emergence could refer to a lot of things, like the emergence of the Deviants, the emergence of mutants on Earth, the emergence of a sleeping Celestial gestating inside Earth like an egg, the emergence of people unsubscribing when my theories reach too far. Hey, come back, come back. But in any of these cases, I think the Celestials have begun this process because mankind, like Icarus's mythological analog, flew too close to the sun. The Avengers defied the Celestials' will that was carried out by the Celestials' chosen son, Thanos. And if you think about it, Thanos' status as a Celestial's champion could be the explanation to his unique genetic condition. Because if his deviant gene is described as a mutation, similar preconditions are being increasingly encoded into several MCU characters. Like Wanda Maximoff was capable of casting low-level probability hexes as a young girl years before Infinity Stone radiation, which we believe could be Marvel's way of saying we know Wanda Maximoff was a mutant in the Marvel comics, and we are now saying she was born this way. Also, the Black Widow movie established Ursa Major, a Russian mutant, as now MCU canon. And Thanos, now, as a possible herald of the Celestials, could be to future MCU generations a harbinger of mutants. Support New Rockstars by checking out our merch options, including our new Marvel What If inspired limited edition shirt at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss. Follow and subscribe to New Rockstars. Thanks for watching. Bye.